You're listening to the Tip In Maple Leaf podcast with your hosts, Chad and Dale.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Tip In Maple Leaf podcast. I'm Chad.
I'm Dale.
We're coming to you in summer fashion here in July. We didn't miss free agent frenzy or whatever. Some things came up, and then we thought we'll just wait till the dust settles and let everybody else go for the summer.
And what an absolutely exciting free agent frenzy it was. Like, I've never seen anything more exciting in my life on July 1st. Holy fuck, snooze fest. Snooze fest.
Yeah, it was bad.
Absolute joke, man. Off the top, Chad, anything? Because there's one thing I want to get to immediately. Anything off the top?
No, what do you got? What's so important?
Prospects are in town.
Yeah.
They take the fucking boys down to a horse trainer, okay? And what the hell is this, man? They're trying to get something here that like is like a tame, like this is how like what stability, trying to tame a horse, trying to like, what the fuck is this?
It's like a Mr. Miyagi type of thing.
Wax on, wax off.
Yeah, like you're doing something and it's supposed to have this symbolic meaning and it'll come in handy later, but it's just a mess.
To me, it's just a big pile of horse shit. That's what I saw this was. What the fuck? If any, the kids don't need this. Half of those guys aren't even going to make the fucking team. You want to take some boys down to see how to tame a horse or keep a horse cool when it's trying to get angry. Like, I don't even know. Maybe you take the big club down to the horse trainer and you say, boys, this is how you be, get it done in tough situations. I don't even know what the Leafs were trying to do. Like, Haley Wickenheiser's trying to talk to the media and she's like, she can't, like, she's half laughing. Like, it clearly wasn't her idea. Whose idea was that?
Somebody had a big brainstorm of an idea and they went with it. I don't know. Whatever. What are you going to do? It is what it is, man. But just prospects dropped the gloves and fought. I like that.
I like that too. But if we were sitting in a room with the management group and like I raised my hand, I'm like, guys, what about like a horse trainer? Like, you wouldn't be like, Dale, shut the fuck. What are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about? A horse trainer?
Yeah, I don't know whose bright idea it was. They must have sold them on it though. Like, they must have had a big presentation. Like, this will teach them to do this and this and this. But you're right. Somebody should have just stood up and been like, no, like, terrible idea. Like, come on.
Horrendous.
Absolutely brutal idea.
Anyway. All right. Oh, boy.
Big horse cock, probably.
Well, no. Yeah. If the boys learned anything, that's would be it. Like, I don't know. I don't know what you need to learn from that. But like, I mean, anyway, okay, whatever. It is what it is. Tame the horse, wild horses, whatever you want to call it. I fucking hated that. Anyway, we'll go to July 1st because we didn't do a podcast after free agency. Holy fuck, dude. Talk about underwhelming for the blue and white team, or what are we talking about here? Like,
well, there was nothing to really sign. It was a terrible class of free agents.
They could have signed guys. Like, it just, I mean, a lot of guys, and we'll get to the Panthers later. Obviously, I want to talk about them, but like there wasn't anybody like high on my radar, but like there's a couple of guys who I wouldn't have minded. Like, nothing that they did excites me. But like, I mean, would I have brought Besser in? Possibly at that price tag, maybe not.
That's the thing.
Like, he might have been the only guy where I'm like, okay, like, here's a guy that can play in the top six. But if you look, like, I didn't want the dude from I didn't want Nikolai Ehlers. Like,
he wasn't gonna come to Toronto anyway.
No, Winnipeg was too much for him.
Yeah,
he couldn't handle Toronto. So
it was one of those things. I was actually happy about it because I thought, don't blow your money on this free agency class. Like, don't do something stupid like LA did and give a Cody Ceci 4 years, $4.5 million.
Yeah, dumb.
Yeah, don't do anything dumb. And Tree Living has had a past of doing stuff like that, like giving out bad contracts at free agent day when he was in Calgary. And even like when he first came to Toronto, they missed out on O'Reilly and he just gave David Kampf like a whole bunch of money in term and no movement clause because he needed a centerman. I'm really glad that he was like, you know what? If I got to wait until the season starts, wait until like December when some of these teams realize they're not as good as they think they are, and then maybe pull the trigger on a trade. Because the Leaf team will stay afloat, no problem. They're not going to be like bottom of the league.
No, but like, let's be honest here. Like, Tampa's Tampa, Florida's Florida. I think
Tampa's old now, though.
Yeah, but
I don't fear Tampa as much as I used to.
But they'll be in the mix. You just
they'll be in the mix, but so will the Leafs.
So will the Leafs, of course. I'm not saying that they won't be. They will be in the mix. But now you've got the Habs will be pushing a little harder, and I think the Sens will be pushing a little harder. Those are the only two teams where I'm not concerned about Buffalo or Detroit or whatever. But the Habs and the Sens, like, they both made the playoffs last year. Like, they both snuck into the wild card spots. Could one of them push for top 3 in the Atlantic? Wouldn't surprise me. So
yeah, for sure. There's going to be but there's also going to be teams that are lying to themselves, and I think that's what you got to wait for. There's going to be a lot of teams that right now think they're a wild card team, maybe a playoff team. They're going to get into the season. They're going to be bottom of the league. They're going to look to trade some of their players, and that's where you could probably get someone to play on your second line center or a really good winger. But it wasn't in this free agency class. It just wasn't there. So I'm glad they didn't just sign somebody and give a whole bunch of money to a contract where down the road you'd be like, how the hell we get out from this?
Well, okay, so that's what I was going to say. Like, I don't think Tree has done enough. Like, this is not a team that can win the Stanley Cup as it currently stands. But like you were just
July,
saying,
what day is it? July 6th?
But no,
July 5th.
July 5th. But like you were just saying, like you were just alluding to, like, what could he really have done? Like, what was out there to do? Like,
nothing.
No,
he could have given a lot of money to Brock Besser. He could have signed some bottom 6 guys to terrible contracts to try and like fill out the depth. But I'm really glad that he just said, no, not right now. Let's wait. Let's wait it out.
Like, for sure. Like, I don't mind Besser. I think he re-upped for 775, I think, in Vancouver, which is a shock to me. I thought he was fucking gone for sure, but last minute phone call.
Vancouver said he was gone.
Like, very shocked. But like, would I be happy if the Leafs signed him to $8 million? Not particularly. Particularly. And I don't. They avoided all those contracts. Like I don't dislike Besser. Like, don't get me wrong.
No, absolutely.
He's the only guy that I thought, like, okay, maybe, like, once the Florida guys fell off and whatever. But okay, so but they did nothing that excites me. But that's fine. I'm fine with like standing pat for now. We'll see what happens. Maybe there's a trade to be made during the summer months. Maybe there's not. Maybe you have to go into camp and start the season with the current raw, or like, a Yarncroc at camp. Like, you shed some salary here because there's a lot of bottom six bodies around. But the guys that they did bring in, what's his name, Michelli or Mercelli or
Michelli?
Is it Michelli or
Michelli? They brought in 2 Italians, Michelli and Pizzetta.
Okay, so Pizzetta, Michelli, and Waugh. Like,
and I am gonna call him Roy so much.
I mean, none of those moves do it for me. Like, and we'll get to Mitch here in a second. Obviously, we're bearing the lead, but like, none of those moves do it for me. Like, nothing pretty, nothing exciting about it. Like,
no, but you're looking at it the wrong way, man. You're looking at it as like, those moves are, for me, replacing Yarncroc, Kampf, and things like that. And he
better be.
It is, and he hasn't got around. That's what I'm saying. Wait it out. Wait for a trade to come along. Wait, even if you like, just make the right move for a change, because the Leafs don't do that too often. And you'll shed some cap with getting rid of Yarncroc and Kampf and these guys, and those guys will step in. They have a little more grit, a little more size, might do something in the playoffs.
Well, not the little Italian.
But they're not, you can't say that. No, I know, not him, but Pizzetta and Waugh. And I don't mind taking a chance on the little winger.
But that's exactly, you're taking a chance. You're taking a chance.
Yeah, but it's a 3rd round pick that maybe a second.
Okay, I would do it. I would make that trade for sure. But like, and he could contribute, and he could turn out to be a diamond in the rough. He could be an absolute fucking dud, and he's on the 3rd or 4th line, or he doesn't even play. Who knows? We don't know.
And he doesn't cost you anything, really.
No, that's fair. So anyway, Marner, man, 10 minutes in, we haven't brought up Mitch Marner. I've got a bunch of other things to get to, like more of the Leafs top 6 and the Cowan situation and Florida, Tavares, Nyes. We'll get to some stuff here, but we might as well talk about Mitch Marner right now. I'll start with this. I've seen a mixed bag of reaction online here. Why anybody would be surprised or why anybody would still want this guy around to just actually, I should preference that by saying our general manager still wanted him around, by the way. If he had his way, like take the trade deadline out when he tried to trade him for Rantanen, which I mean, that would have been incredible. Take that out of the situation. Many months prior to that, going even back to last summer, they were trying to extend Mitch Marner, and Mitch and his agent were saying all along, yeah, no thanks. Let's just wait and see. So Tree got to a point where he's like, they don't even want to talk. They're not going to extend. So that's what happened at the deadline with the Rantanen thing. So I just want to be clear here before we go deep into the Marner situation. It's not that the Leafs didn't want to keep Mitch Marner. Mitch Marner did not want to play for the Toronto Maple Leafs anymore. Let's just be crystal clear. He left. He's like, I'm done with this. Too hard. Heat's too hot in the fucking kitchen, or what's the saying? Whatever. I don't know. Like, he walked, Chad. He left. They didn't want him to leave. He left.
I think even worse than that is the fact that, like, now that we know all the stuff with Vegas and everything, now you kind of know that even before his new no movement clause kicked in, he was checked out. Like Marner knew he was out of here when his contract was done. And the Leafs still, well, they wanted to trade him, and then Dubas got fired and Tree Living came in and they didn't trade him and his no movement clause kicked in. And then they offered him like the biggest contract in Leaf history, apparently, in February, and he said no. So, but that's the thing that irritates me even more is not just last summer, go back before when they could just trade him for nothing to any team in the league.
They missed the boat, man.
They knew Shanahan, and I put a lot of this on Shanahan because since 100%. He's been gone, the stories that have come out about like the way he treated these guys, the way he was in love with these guys is ridiculous. But they knew, like, Dubas, I didn't like Dubas as a GM. Like, he made a lot of bad moves, but Dubas knew Mitch had to go. And he got fired for it.
Eventually.
He knew, but before his no trade clause kicked in, his no movement clause, Dubas knew. He came out, he said it. At the time, Shanahan and Dubas were working on a contract extension for Dubas.
Yep.
And after he had that press conference where he basically said, I've got to get rid of Mitch, or Willie, I guess at the time, one of them, he got fired. So, like, this goes back 2 years that Mitch has been checked out and they've been trying to keep him. It's crazy. It would have been nice for the Leafs to be like, no, we don't want you.
Well, they should have jumped the gun. They should have jumped the gun on Mitch because he walks out the door for, we get Nicholas Waugh back. Great. Like, he'll help. He will help.
Well, it's not. He could have just waited till Monday and then or Tuesday and then just left for nothing. So, I mean, Marner did the sign and trade.
Yep.
He didn't have to do that, but there was a whole lot of tampering and shit going on. I don't know.
I'm not giving him a pat on the back for.
No, I'm not giving him a pat on the back at all. But at least the Leafs got something.
Have you seen any of this? Like, oh, poor Mitch. Like, he had it so rough in Toronto. No wonder he fucking wanted out and blah, blah. Have you seen this narrative? Yes. Like, I'm like,
apparently they thought,
come on, fucking serious. Poor little Mitch Marner. He had it so fucking rough. Like, the hardball questions by Masters and fucking these guys after the games. Like, Mitch had it. Oh,
he never did press. So like, Mitch barely talked to the media, and when he did, it was 2 minutes and done.
And whenever he opened his fucking yap, he always said the wrong fucking thing anyway.
Yeah, like, I think it was. Yeah, it was just such a. The last, like, what, 3, I guess maybe since the Montreal series, like, when did everyone start to really turn on the core?
Yeah, I think
after the Montreal series.
Yeah, I would say, yeah.
Because before that, like, when they beat Washington,
a little bit after Columbus, but really after Montreal.
And then it just seemed like Marner got this chip on his shoulder after that. And
you're right, not me.
It was never him. It's not me.
Look at me.
It's not me, and and like we're trying. What do you want us to do? Like, we're doing our best, and and it just kind of took a turn with the fans. And I think that's why he's been checked out for years. But
anyway, I will be like, I am not in the least upset or disappointed that Mitch Marner is no longer a part of the Toronto Maple Leafs. The only thing that pisses me off, I've said it before on the podcast, I've said it to you, the only thing that pisses me off is that they didn't trade him at the proper opportunity.
Yes.
that we could have got a boatload for this guy. Instead, he basically walks for nothing. We get one piece. We could have got 2 first and 2 prime prospects for this guy. No fucking problem.
Well, like, yeah. And I think the biggest problem with Mitch Marner, of what I've found, and I have a couple quotes here. Jonas Siegel wrote a great article in The Athletic. But one of the biggest problems with Marner, man, over the last few years, it's not Marner, it's the people he puts around him. His agent's a prick. His dad's got a mouth on him. Like,
did you see the whole family? Did you watch any of the Vegas press conference?
Of course I watched the Vegas thing.
The whole dad's coming out, mom's carrying the baby, his wife's coming out. They're just all gear, head to toe in Vegas gear, right?
It looked like, if you look at Mitch Marner with the media after the Game 7 loss, and then him putting on the jersey in Vegas, it looks like a guy who just finally got the divorce papers signed and couldn't be happier to be single right now. He's finally with the girl that he's had on the side for 5 or 6 years. That's how he looked. Like, he was just so happy. But like, in this article, okay, so this is from 2018. I'm going to put this on the screen. Now, this is Mitch's dad.
Yeah, go ahead. Is this about the captaincy or no?
This is him talking about the draft that he was in, right?
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
And his dad, like, apparently he just talked about things like this all the time around Mitch, around everyone. And he was basically saying, what might have been pondering a universe where the 2015 number 1 pick, Connor McDavid, wasn't in the same cohort as Mitch, his son. And his dad said, in any other draft, if Connor's not there, you would have been talking about Mitch as the first overall pick. And he goes on to talk
except for Eichel was also in that draft. So,
I know. And he went 4th. Like, Dylan Strome went ahead of him even in that draft.
That is insane, but yes.
But this is what I'm saying. Like, this is the shit that Mitch had around him. This is the people that are in Mitch's ear 24/7.
Yeah.
So this is him talking about when they were going to pick a captain. And his dad said,
"Yeah,
it drives our family nuts when we hear you guys talk about who should be the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs, and Mitch never hardly gets any consideration," Paul Marner said. "It's because he's like this happy-go-lucky kid, but he championed," and it goes on, it's cut off, but he says he championed the London Knights to Memorial Cup as that same happy-go-lucky kid.
Great.
It's just like, and if you read the article, there's more than that. Like, his agent and his dad complained, apparently, like, took Dubas's head off over him being benched and put on the 4th line. And they continued to do it even when Tree Living took over, talk about things that happened 5 years ago.
And I just want to say that his dad making that captaincy comment, that wasn't them taking the C off.
No, that was before JT got it. That was 2018. That interview's from 2018.
Exactly. So, I mean,
and you can go to The Athletic if you have it, read that article, and there's a link to the article with Paul Marner, and it is nuts.
He's not
like, it is nuts. He thinks Mitch is Wayne Gretzky.
Just because you can captain a junior team to a Memorial Cup, that's awesome. There's a lot of guys that do that don't get near where Mitch got with the Leafs. It's just because junior doesn't relate to the NHL. It just fucking doesn't in most cases for most guys. So if he would have been named captain at that time over the other, like Morgan, there's 5 other guys I would have named captain at that
exactly
time. 5 other guys.
The stuff that is said in there, it even talks about when Matthews signed his 5-year contract.
About what's in Mitch's ear the whole time.
So when they were coming off their ELCs, their entry level, and Matthews signed his first one that was like 11.634, right? And he got his number in there, 34. Oh, yeah. And he signed the 5-year contract or whatever. Mm-hmm. Marner's dad and agent lost their fucking minds.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like, they went crazy, and they were so focused not on like the team and not on how Mitch would be perceived by fans and not on like building a brand. It was all about, well, he's just as good as Austin. He deserves the exact same amount. And what did he get? 10.9. No, what was it? 10.093. He had
Something
to have
like
his
that.
junior number in there, just
Yep.
like Austin Matthews.
Yep.
When you read the article and you see this, no wonder Mitch was so messed up in the head, ready to go to Vegas. Like, if you had that around you all the time, people like that, I couldn't do it. If my dad was like that, I'd lose my fucking mind.
100%.
I'd lose my mind.
Okay, I'm gonna read you a couple quick things that I saw online, a couple quotes about Mitch, and then we'll move off of Mitch and get to some other stuff. John Tavares, some parting words from some of the players that he played with. Some Sesame Street here, like one of these things doesn't belong, or like two of these things, whatever. See if you pick up.
Sorry, I didn't hear it. What is it?
I don't even know. Do you remember Sesame Street where there were like two?
No. What are you reading? What are you reading? I missed the first part.
Players' reaction to him leaving.
Okay.
Some of his teammates' reaction to him leaving. Tavares says,
"Oh, this is going to be good."
Tavares says, "You always hold out hope that a person and a player like Mitch ends up staying, but you're also realistic about the situation. I wish him nothing but the best." Morgan Riley says he's an amazing human, great hockey player. So any heat or anything like that, I believe, would be undeserved. Talking about, I think, his possible return, which I can't wait for his return. More on that in a second. Matthew said, "Thank you, Mitch. Proud to have been your teammate, short and sweet. One guy who was absolute radio silence." 88. Not a single fucking comment. Nothing. Not even one fucking word. I don't even know if Nylander knows that Mitch isn't on the team anymore. He's probably drinking margaritas somewhere in fucking Cuba.
I thought you were gonna have like a quote.
No.
That made it look bad. No, of course he didn't say anything.
Like Nylander's the only guy that didn't say, like, he's played with them longer than anybody, and he's like, radio silence from fucking William Nylander. I just thought that was hilarious. But then one of my favorite things online, this was just a random person, and this is what he said about Mitch, and this is my sentiment. I feel I wish I would have come up with this. This is exactly how I feel about Mitch Marner. I don't know if you saw this or not, but this dude says online, random guy, he says, talking about Mitch, he's a me guy, not a team guy, which is, I 100% agree with that. But with
I've never seen it. I've never seen it like this though. Like, have you ever seen a guy that sort of comes off like they say, happy-go-lucky, always taking photos with the fans, throwing pucks over the glass, doing the gritty?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a guy that has that around him, which makes like I know my son, the guys on his hockey team, they're all like 9, 10 years old. They fucking love Mitch.
Yeah, sure.
They think, because kids, right? And he's so relatable. But have you ever seen a guy with that personality be so fucking greedy and whiny in the background? It's so weird.
It is weird. Honestly, like, good riddance, but also good luck, Mitch.
Yeah, good luck.
I wish the best.
It was time.
Yeah, wish the best for the guy, but good riddance at the same time. Boo. How hard are the boos coming down when Vegas rolls in December or January? I think very, very hard when he touches the puck. He was getting booed in the fucking playoffs when he was wearing the blue jersey.
Did you there was so much shit about the Vegas tampering and stuff, but did you read Frank Saravelli reported it that Vegas had planted people in the stands to boo Mitch Marner at the Leaf games?
Come on.
That's what he reported.
Dude,
he also reported that Mitch's parents were looking at houses and condos in Vegas last summer.
The boo thing, okay, I believe that. The boo things, maybe, but that didn't need to happen because his mind was already made up. He was cashed the fuck out. He was leaving.
I know, but he
was leaving.
It made it like even worse.
Short of a Stanley Cup. Maybe short of anything short of
I don't know,
cup,
Mitt. If they lose game 5 and 7 against Florida, if they lose those 2 games in overtime, we would be here talking after watching what Florida did to Carolina and Edmonton. We would be here talking, holy shit, like the Leafs had them on the ropes.
Yep.
But because of game 5 and 7, we're like, nah, they got steamrolled just like everybody else.
And depending on coulda, woulda, shoulda, if Mitch would have been a hero in one of those games, then maybe things would be different. But it was just the same.
He never scored a goal ever in games 5, 6, or 7 while playing for the Leafs.
Okay. Anyway, Mitch.
Isn't
See
that
you, bud.
crazy? Not one?
No.
9 years you didn't get a goal in game 5, 6, or 7?
I should have wore the shades in
Oh, put 'em
memory.
on, man.
In memory of Mitch, actually. Just he
Those
was.
look like Stolar shades.
Remember when like Mitch would like the outdoor game? What did he say one day about the shades? He's just like, so I didn't Mark Matt. Do you remember this going back to when they played the Sabres in like the outdoor game? And I think Masters asked him something about like, Mitch, why you wearing the shades or whatever? And he's just like, oh, it's just like, I forget what he said. It's so long ago now, but he's just like, oh, it's just like, a cool. I can't remember. I wish I could remember, but I can't remember.
That was before COVID, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
we're going way back.
Yeah, we're going back. We're going back. Anyway, let's move on.
Yeah.
It's time to move on. I'm happy that next season on the podcast, there will not be, well, who are we kidding? Of course, there'll be Mitch Marner talk. Of course, we're still going to talk about the guy, right? Like, how can we not? We don't talk about Hyman a lot. We don't talk about Kadri a lot, but every now and then we do bring up Hyman.
Oh, it'll come up, but I think it'll be different because we talk about Hyman and how much we miss him.
Yeah,
and how they dropped the ball not signing him. This will be like, yeah, we'll talk about, you know what'll happen? Things will happen in Vegas that happened in Toronto, and we'll be like, see Vegas? Do you see?
Yeah. Well, I'm sure he'll have a great regular season.
One last thing on Mitch before we go. He wanted to go to Vegas. He's in love with there. Good. I know that he got the royal treatment when he showed up, and they had the showgirls were dancing, and they had him on Caesar's Palace.
Now I kind of get it a little bit.
I get it. Oh, I get it. They had him on the sign outside Caesar's Palace, but let's not forget that Vegas has been one of the most ruthless and just crazy dirty management teams
not one
in
of
the NHL.
Not one of the yeah.
So when we get to years 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever of this contract, like, you know, look out, Mitch, because this team has no problem. Doesn't matter if you have a no movement clause. What's there? If they want you gone, they get the fuck rid of you.
They'll find a way to dump him out of.
So you got to be careful. I know it's all happy now, but down the road when you're playing with Vegas, look out. I wish the Leafs would be more like that, but
yeah, me too, man. Okay, so let's move on. Here we go. I'm gonna go here. So I think the Leafs. I know there was a lot of talk about Tree Living needs to add he's looking to add a top 6 forward. Okay, like someone to replace Mitch, whatever. So I have no idea who that is. I don't even want to spec. I've heard Kadri. That's not going to fucking happen. The Flames aren't trading Nazem Kadri. The Flames are going to try to make the playoffs this year, and trading Nazem Kadri would be a big step backwards in them doing that. Forget anybody.
I don't know where that started.
Anybody that thinks Kadri's coming back, it's not happening, folks. Sorry to rain on your parade.
Both Elliot Friedman and Chris Johnson both said there's no smoke around that.
Calgary wants to make the playoffs. They have a better chance at doing that with Nazem Kadri in the lineup. So no, it's not going to happen. But I just want to say, like, I'm going to lead into Easton Cowan here and potentially Ben Danford, because they're the only really 2 real prospects that this organization has. They're really the only 2 real pieces, trade chips that they have. I don't think the Leafs are a top 6 forward away, brother. Like, I haven't heard a lot of talk about this, but like, I'm going to bring it up to you right now. I think the Toronto Maple Leafs are 3 pieces away from being a real contender. 2 top 6 forwards and a number 1 defenseman. Am I crazy here? Am I crazy on this? I think they're 3 pieces away. They're not 1 top 6 forward away. Like, maybe if you like, okay, like someone like a Draisaitl or someone like that, which is not going to obviously happen, but just like I've heard possibly Rust out of Pittsburgh. Like, okay, like sure, he would be a good fit. I would do that, but that's not going to put them over the top to beat the Florida Panthers. I just think they're who right now we've still got Nyes, Matthews, and blank. We've got Nylander, Tavares, and blank. They're missing 2 top 6.
Michelli.
Okay, well, if that's
I'm just kidding.
If that's the plan, we're missing. In my opinion, we're missing 2. Bobby McMahon showed nothing in the playoffs last year. I would trade Bobby McMahon actually if we had a chance.
I have no problem with that.
Nope.
You have to start having that mentality, man. Stop falling in love with the players and just like we said about Vegas, You're not pulling your weight. Bye.
So what do you think? Do you think I'm off by saying they are 2 top 6 forwards away and a legit number 1 defenseman away from actually contending for a championship? And how the fuck are they going to, do you think that's accurate? And if so, how the fuck are they going to do that? Not in one off season.
No, I don't think you can do it in the offseason. I think there's got to be trades happening, but I also think that there are some things to look at as number one, Brube's second season. So he's kind of learned the ropes. He's back. Like things do change. And I also think when Tree Living was talking about the DNA, I heard him say afterwards, because he's like, well, that took a life of its own, didn't it?
He's backtracked on it because he has no choice.
Well, he basically, and he made a good point. He's like, it doesn't mean swapping every player out for a new player. It's like a mentality thing. And I think, yeah, you can look at it like you need this, this, and this, and this, and compete. But maybe you just need like a different mentality going into it. And now all of a sudden, Marner's not here.
From who?
From everybody. From the whole team.
Well, how Nylander, Matthews, and Tavares going to play a different way?
I think Nylander is what he is. He's never going to play a different way. But Austin Matthews, like Mitch is gone. He's got to have an incredible season this year. Does he not?
You would hope so, but who the fuck knows with his health? He could get banged up the first week of camp again, and then boom.
And Tavares now,
can't trust him. Can't trust him before anymore. Can't trust him.
No, and he might get hurt, but he needs to bounce back. He needs to be the captain. He needs to, grow some balls and do something. And Tavares under his new contract, 100% at $4.5 million, you're getting your money's worth this year.
Sorry, and stop talking about passengers and just lead the fucking way yourself.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not necessarily we need all these new pieces and parts.
No, I hear you.
We need the mentality to change on the parts that we have. And Mitch is gone.
I don't see that. I agree. I agree with you 100%. I don't think these guys can do that.
Then you shouldn't hold on to any of them, because getting wingers and a defenseman isn't going to change their mentality.
No, it's not. But
like, you got rid of Mitch. I know it wasn't by choice. He walked away from you, but at least it's a huge change in that locker room. Like, one of them is gone.
Okay, so I hear what you're saying, and I think you're 100% right on that. Like, internally, the DNA needs to change. A different thought process, something needs to change internally. Yeah. I 100%.
And Shanahan's not here, and I think Shanahan was a big protection blanket for these guys.
Oh my God,
he's 100%. Not here.
Okay,
but isn't it funny? All of a sudden, Shanahan's not here, and Tavares and Nye signed to good contracts. What the fuck's up with that?
We'll get to that. I want to go
but anyway,
on Tavares and Nyes, but so just kind of going back to the trade thing for a second, like bringing it. Like, I know what I said was like 2 top 6 forwards and a number 1 defenseman. Impossible to do in one off season, but maybe
not impossible over a couple years.
No, it's not. And maybe one or two of those pieces this summer. But what do you have to trade realistically to do that? And who out there around the league has those pieces that would be willing to trade with you? Like, are we talking Cow? Like, it's Cowan. There's Yarncroft, Camp, the guys on the roster. Like, that's not getting you what we need. So is like Cowan and a 2028 first round pick, is that going to do it? Like, what do we have that could land something like that? It's got to be Easton Cowan. He's got to be number 1, right? And would you move Cowan, or do you want to see how he looks?
This season I want to see how he looks.
I want to see how he looks. But would you move him for the right piece? I don't know what that is, but would you move him if the right piece came along?
Yeah, but it would have to be like, you would have to know it's the right piece. It would have to be like a no, like if Rantanen came available again, sure. Something like that, where
which no one saw coming.
No. And Rantanen was like perfect because his whole career, him and Mitch were compared to each other. And what was the one difference? Mitch beat him every year in the regular season, and Rantanen completely destroyed him in the playoffs every season, like points wise.
Rantanen had 16 points, or I think he had 16 points in the first round of the fucking playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, literally, the guy was killing it, absolutely killing
it. Don't forget also that the 2026 NHL free agency pool
It's insane.
is ridiculous.
It's
and I
insane.
know a lot of those guys are going to re-up before that day comes with their own teams and stuff.
Probably.
But some of them are going to free agency.
Yep.
And there are like massive names on that list.
Huge.
McDavid, Eichel, Kyle Connor, Panarin, Bobrovsky, Kempe, Ovechkin,
Kaprizov.
Stolars. Yeah, Kaprizov.
Yeah, a lot of big names.
There's huge. So, I mean,
yep.
I don't know if I would commit to a trade I'm not comfortable with this year for a contract I don't really want.
Okay, but
just to maybe beat the Florida Panthers in the playoffs. Like, I think that's stupid.
Okay, I don't disagree with that, but I'll just throw it out there hypothetically just to see what you say. Like, so if you were going to, like, what do the Leafs have to trade for a good player that other teams would be interested in? Like, what is Tree offering that someone is like
Cowan?
Like, it starts with Cowan, but it's not going to be just Cowan.
Yeah, and you can trade you can trade picks for a certain amount of time, right?
Yeah, like
so you could trade their 2029 first round pick, 2028 first round pick.
We're not going to have a first round pick until 2031, probably.
I'll be dead by the time we have a first round pick again.
Which I'm fine with, because the window is like 3 years really until Matthews' contract ends, and then that's basically it. But I don't know. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. It's an interesting question because their pool of prospects and draft picks
sucks.
Yeah, it's terrible. Well, the last 5 years they've done nothing but trade to try and win in the playoffs. And now here you are. You haven't won and you still need more help.
So do you think Tree does something this summer to trade-wise to try to upgrade the top six?
I think he's going to moneyball this. I think he's going to do just like they did in Oakland back in the day, where they lost those three big players, Johnny Damon, and I forget who the other two were. But instead of like replacing with 3 stars, they went out and they got like a whole bunch of, Island of Misfit toys. I think he's going to do that because that's all he really has to do. And he's going to, like just what he did trading for Michelli. Like he took a chance on a small winger who's like a Timu version of Mitch Marner.
Yeah. Okay. We'll
That's
see.
What he's gonna do. I hope a big trade comes along, but have you heard of anybody other than Kadri?
Nope.
And that's not happening.
Well, I started hearing about Rust in Pittsburgh, but I mean, I don't even think he's
but still, that's not like blockbuster.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not. Anyway, we'll see. We'll see what he does. Like Tree Living will probably do something, I think, but is it going to be minor, major? We'll see. We'll see. A couple quick things before we go. The Florida Panthers, man. So the night before free agency, they just all got together and were like, yeah, Marchand, I'm staying. Bennett, I'm staying. Ekblad, I'm staying. Marchand takes a discount. Ekblad's contract went from 7.5 to like 6.1. He's like, I don't give a shit. I'm fucking staying. I love living in South. He's like, I love living in South Beach. He took more than $1 million pay cut. More than $1 million. Ekblad. I know. He could have got 9 to 10 on the open market. He's like, oh fuck, 6.1.
I was listening to a podcast and they were talking, I swear to God, and they were talking about him on the open market. So the podcast was the day before. This was the day he signed. And they're like, oh, I don't think out of the 3 guys, I think Ekblad might be the one to not sign because he could probably fetch 9.5, 10 million on the open market. And then my phone notifies me and they're like, yeah, Ekblad signed for 6.5. I'm just like, what the fuck? How do they get away with that? How do they do it?
It's crazy. Like I'm not surprised that they did it because like, why would you want to break? They got living in South Beach. They got a good thing going there. Like it would not shock me. It would. I'm just saying what I think here. I know you probably disagree with me here. It would not shock me to see that team win another cup or 2.
It wouldn't shock me at all.
It would not shock me at all.
The Marchand thing. How is that legal?
Yeah, it's
like, how can you do that?
I know.
Are we going to go back to giving guys in their late 30s, 6, 7, 8 year contracts? He's not playing until he's 43.
No, of course not. Dude, like I was just talking about the Leafs being 3 pieces away, like 2 top 6 forwards and a number 1 defenseman. the Panthers have nothing but top 6 forwards, and literally, like, they've got guys playing in their bottom 6 that could easily play in their top 6, and they've got like 3 number 1 defensemen. Ekblad is a number 1 defenseman. Forsling is a number 1 defenseman. Jones is a number 1 defenseman on any other fucking team.
And they've got them all till 2030. Now they are over the cap. Even the new cap, they're over it. So they've got to trade and get rid of people, but they have so many people that are replaceable too. Like, get rid of Evan Rodriguez, save a few million. Yeah, you can find guys like that, no problem on that.
Of course.
Okay. But the Marchand thing, I just quickly on the Marchand thing, like, it drives me nuts. Because do you remember last year when the Leafs signed Tanev? Do you remember this?
Oh yeah, like
how? Do you remember everyone shitting their pants?
The 6 years, right?
Well, I think he got 4, didn't he?
No, 6-year deal for 4 point whatever cash.
Okay, well, whatever it was,
6-year deal,
and everyone's like, "Oh, he's whatever years old, he'll never live that contract out." And then I remember like a Boston reporter being on a radio station being like, "The league should investigate this. Like, I don't know how the Leafs do this." Florida does it with Marchand, and they're like, "I can't believe
how did they do that? Unbelievable."
Yeah, everyone's like, "I don't know how Barry Zito didn't win General Manager of the Year. Look at this guy cook."
Yeah,
I'm like, but you said that should be illegal. What the fuck?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Anyway, Florida, like, the Zito doesn't have to do anything. They just fall into his lap.
They're just like, we want to stay here.
The easiest general manager job in the league. Like, he literally is like, he doesn't even have to pick up the fucking.
That's not true. Phone. He had to build the team,
which he really did. If they didn't really.
No, I know, but you're right. He did it, so he does have the easiest job. But if they were dead last in the league, these guys would want out.
Oh, sure. Of course.
There's no state tax in Nashville. Are you telling me those guys don't want the fuck out of Nashville?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Probably. But like, you imagine June 30th.
Oh, when they're playing terrible, not making the playoffs?
No, for sure. But you imagine June 30th, Zito sitting around the office or sitting around at home. And like, he's just like, no, they'll call me. Like, I don't, like, he doesn't even need to pick up the phone. He's just like, no, just wait. Just like, and then the agents start calling like, oh, okay. Yeah. You want to stay? You want to stay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway. Yeah. Do you imagine how the Ekblad thing went? Like, hey, can you pay me the same I've been making? No, that's not going to work. You're going to have to take a pay cut, bud. Call me back. Call me back.
I'm sure Zito didn't even say that. Ekblad was probably just like, what do you want? Like, Ekblad probably went to them with the number. He's like, what number are you comfortable with? Oh, fuck, whatever. 6, like, whatever. I don't know. It's crazy. The whole thing is crazy.
I know that they're probably going to be a stellar team this year and they're probably going to win again, but how nice would it be if they fucking sucked?
And it's just not going to happen.
Well, what if they ran into like injury trouble and they were like,
that's the only way. That's the only way.
Like, one of my all-time dreams is just seeing Bennett's bald head just laying out cold on the ice. Just somebody forearms him in the head, because he's done it a million times to other guys.
If Bobrovsky blows out a knee or something and he's like out long term, whatever, like, they would probably just trade for a goalie and they wouldn't miss a beat. That's
Marchand was out half the season this year with the Bruins.
Yeah. Anyway,
Chuck has got, apparently he couldn't play until game 1 of the playoffs, so something must be hurting there.
Anyway, well, last thing, Tavares and Nyes. I'll let you give your thoughts on it. Maybe I'll bounce off of what you think of the 2 extensions there, and we'll just go out on this.
First, I'll start with Tavares. It was just so nice to see one of these guys say to the fans, I want to be here. I want to be here, and whatever it takes. Because he's way under what he could have gotten.
Oh, like, there's no questioning how much JT loves Toronto and the Toronto Maple Leafs. Like,
and look at how quick it flipped. We went from like hating everybody on the, even me, I was like, got to get rid of Tavares. I thought he was going to sign for like 7 or 8 million.
No, I love the contract. He is a heart and soul guy. I just wish he played with a little bit more of an edge. That's my
But
only
at $4.5 million, it won't bother you. It bothers you when he's at 11 million and Bennett's pushing him around.
It might bother me because Domi makes the same amount and he drives me fucking crazy. So
that's true. But Tavares won't drive you crazy with his play.
He'll still score 30 goals, 100%.
Yeah.
So
and the Nyes thing,
great contract. Both great contracts.
Yeah, the Nyes is a great contract. This is the guy. Like, this is this is what you should have been doing with your players before. You should have been giving them what they're worth for a good term.
Yep,
Instead of being like guys
deal.
coming out of their ELCs and giving them 10.93 million for a right winger. Crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, this was a fair deal for Nyes. It's
Absolutely.
not too little and it's
Great
not
deal.
too much.
No, great deal. I believe that Matthew Nyes is the future captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Ooh.
He's at, look at him. When the other, they're not, Willie, I don't think so. Not captain material.
Oh my God,
like,
no.
When Matthews is like, just you look at Nyes' age, and like when Austin finally moves on and Willie's done and JT's out and Riley's no longer there, and like they're
stays,
they're moving it over, and like potentially Cowan's still here and Nyes is still here. Nyes is the guy, man. I think he's next. I personally believe that the way he plays, it's got captaincy written fucking all over it. So
yeah, Toronto has always been in love with like the blue collar bucket type of player, like bring your lunchbox to work, grind it out.
Matthew Nyes is my favorite player on the team. Like no one comes even close to being second. It's him.
The way he played in that playoffs, like scoring big goals, sticking up for his teammates, getting in everybody's, not afraid of anybody.
Not a pussy, goes to the net, won't battles in the corner. He does everything I love about a hockey player. He just doesn't give anything it takes to fucking win. He's the next captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs. He should be anyway.
When is the last time? Remember, he got hit by White Cloud. And he admitted he had his head down and he was in a bad position.
Yep.
But then did he need Ryan Reeves?
No.
Did he need Domi to go out and fight White Cloud? No. What did he do? Drop the puck and kick the shit out of White Cloud.
Right off the opening face.
Right off the opening draw. When's the last time a Leaf player, like a star Leaf player, has done that?
Couldn't tell you.
Tucker?
When? Oh, yeah, probably Tucker. Corson,
probably Tucker, Corson.
Yeah, for sure. Did you see any of the jerseys on the Marner jerseys online where like obviously Tucker ends in ER and Marner ends in
they
ER,
just put Tucker
where it's like 16, but they duct tape like Tucker jerseys instead of Marner. Love that. But
I know anyway, they were joking that like one of the new guys like Pizzetta or Michelli should just take number 16. Because then everyone will just put that name on the back, and they'll be, all of a sudden you'll have like 100,000 of your jerseys walking around town on the first day.
That's funny. All right, dude. Unless you got anything else, I'm done here.
No, there's going to be a lot to talk about as the season starts, but it's summertime here in Ontario.
Yep.
So listen, everybody, for the Tip and Maple Leafs podcast, it's been a hell of a season. And
one quick thing before we go, before we sign off, because this will be our last podcast here probably for a while. Maybe
nothing happens in the summer.
Maybe till after Labor Day. So we're taking the summer off here. But one question on the way out before you end it, Chad. One question I wanted to ask you. As things currently sit right now, who wins the Stanley Cup next season?
Yeah, it's the Florida Panthers.
It's the Florida Panthers.
How can you not pick them?
Nope, it's the Florida Panthers.
The Florida Panthers.
Will Edmonton be back in the Stanley Cup final against them for a third straight season?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
They lost a lot of pieces.
Could be LA, could be Colorado, could be Dallas. I don't think Edmonton. They kept the same goalies. As of right now, the same goalies, not going to do it. Not Pickard and Skinner. Sorry.
But it's the same thing. A lot can happen. Things will happen at the end of August into September when things get back up and running. And like I said, once you get to Christmas time and there's a whole bunch of teams that realize, shit, we're not going to make the playoffs.
Sure.
With the cap going up and the amount of cap space a lot of these teams have, there's going to be some monster trades this year. But listen, for the Tip and Maple Leafs podcast, thank you so much for listening this year. Thank you guys for playing along with the hockey pool. Thank you guys for sending in your videos and your rants and all that stuff. And just most importantly, thank you for just tuning in to so many episodes. Our downloads and our watches on YouTube went way up this year, and we couldn't have done it without you guys. And we can't wait to come back for the 25-26 season. And we left that little Mitch in Vegas. So not going to be here in Toronto, and we'll see how the season goes. But anyway, I'm Chad.
I'm Dale.
We will.
Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for listening. Like Chad said, thanks for everything all season long. We will see you after Labor Day. Early September, after Labor Day weekend, we'll be back gearing up for training camp. Have a great summer and be safe, everybody. We'll catch you later. You're listening to the Tip In Maple Leafs podcast with your hosts, Chad and Dale.